Hello, everyone. You're listening to Game Rivals, a podcast where a Nintendo fan and a PlayStation fan talk about the latest games and happenings in the gaming community and industry. I'm one of your hosts, Maximilian X, and together with SeanTemplar, we bring you this bi-weekly podcast about video games.
Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of the Game Rivals. It's been a really long time, almost a month since we've done an episode. I'm here with one of my co-hosts, or with my only co-host, Maximilian X. We've had some technical difficulties, but it's good to be back. Not? What do you think about that, Max?
Yeah, it's great to be back. It's been a while. It's been a really long while. So there was the just a little housekeeping. There was a little bit of a technical snafu on my end, where we basically couldn't record for a while until I actually figured out that good old Anchor actually had a solution for us the whole time. So we now have a temporary solution so we can be live with you guys, our fellow game rivals, and talk to you about the latest things in the gaming industry and the latest games that we've been playing.
Which is not a lot from my point of view. I hope you've been playing a lot, but we'll get to that. I believe one.
It's been varied on my end. It's been varied.
Okay, nice. Well, my picks for this week are pretty boring, I think, for people. But hey, we'll get to that. I believe one of the first things we're going to talk about is our news segment. I know that there was some funky business over at Riot Games, the developers of League of Legends, but I haven't really been following it, so maybe you want to lead us in.
So this is something that I was aware of last year, but it seems to have spun out of control. So basically, what has been happening, for those that are not in the know, the working culture at Riot Games has not been the most ethical, to say it lightly. Basically, what you had was a very what's that word they like to use again? Mill toxicity. It's been very like mill centric there over at Riot Games. Um, the the guys over there tend to harass the women that work at Riot Games, their female coworkers, in some very disturbing ways. Um, Things that I honestly would not want to repeat on the podcast. One of the things that they tend to do was, for allegedly, I have to say it allegedly, is give all the female coworkers saucy nicknames. And quite honestly, that is pretty disgusting because they're your coworkers. Like, even in general, just don't do that. That's just wrong. There's also been like physical sexual assault, um, been alleged there as well by female workers at Riot Games, and whenever they bring it up to the higher ups, um, and when it even comes to a point where they actually end up trying to sue whoever it is that's been harassing them, they are forced into arbitration. So basically, they settle outside of court and basically say, well, never speak of this again, which they're forced into because apparently it's in their contracts or something that they're not allowed to sue other coworkers or something like that. There's a whole thing about it. You could probably find it on the web. But basically, what has happened this past week as we're talking, which is what, the 6th of February of May, is a bunch of people at Riot Games decided to organize a strike. So they walked out of work this past Monday. About, I think, somewhere between 150 and 200 people working at Riot just went out on strike, saying they're not going to work until things change at Riot Games as a form of a protest, which is a industry first, because I don't think even even development houses that have had terrible working conditions like crunch and stuff like that, they have never went out on a strike before. And to be fair, this is not a industry that has a union, which is also part of the thing that has been coming up more and more recently. Is that game
Unions,
developers want to
I believe
unionize?
at the GDC they had a survey, and I believe a small majority wants the game industry to unionize. So hopefully it'll happen because as
Well,
glorious as the game industry looks, the conditions in it are generally, at least the stories you hear, generally are pretty bad. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
you
I
don't
mean,
have a lot
even
of
if,
rights.
yeah, exactly. I mean, even if you go back like a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about Anthem and the development hell that that went through, that that is even setting apart the fact that there's, even if you take away the part of the fact of Riot Games and the harassment, I can only assume that considering the kind of game that they develop, that there is a bunch of crunch, that there also is a bunch of overworking and either not getting paid for it or being expected to work overtime, which is something that is very common in the development industry.
Yeah, I remember last year there was an executive who left Riot Games because he was so shocked by the situation there, and he later had an interview with Kotaku, I believe, or with a big game site, and he kind of explained what happened there, that they had this company retreat, and then during one of those they did the team bonding and stuff like that, and during one of the sessions they were talking about. That sometimes when they want to implement a feature that they shouldn't accept no for an answer and they should keep on pushing until they maybe might find a way to do it. And from there the phrase no means yes came out, which some people know no means yes is also used in a sexual offense way.
Mm-hmm.
So that phrase came out, and then at the end of the day, when they were recapping with the whole studio, that phrase kind of slipped in with the recap slides, and it became a thing that they were saying internally, and they didn't mean it from a sexual point of view. But what happened afterwards is that some people in the following weeks went to this executive and said, "Hey, I wasn't there at the company retreat," and these were female coworkers, and they said, "Hey, I'm hearing the phrase 'no' means yes' a lot, and I find that disturbing because we generally associate that with sexual assault." And he was kind of shocked by it, and the more he tried to fight for these female coworkers, the more he got backlash and people starting to work against him. Even upper management, he confronted some of them, and they kind of did this psychological mind game in which they were in a meeting with the CEO and HR and legal, and this executive was bringing up his case, and they were playing this mind game in which they would ask him how he felt and why he felt that, and then when he would present another case, they would ask him again, how do you feel, and if we were to do this, but they would constantly say the same answer or loop, so he would eventually just tire out and give up. And eventually, he couldn't take the situation and he left. There was a pretty big backlash and pretty big article. A lot of people that worked at Riot anonymously contributed to the article. So they weren't in a good standing. And hearing this, yeah, it's kind of strange that they can still keep on, they still get away with these things.
Yeah. It's actually kind of surprising. Well, it's not surprising because, again, as I said before, um, allegedly in their contracts, they're not allowed to sue Riot Games or people that work at Riot Games. Otherwise, they're forced into arbitration. So, yeah, that's how they've been keeping this kind of stuff under wraps. But people are speaking up now, which is great because you can't run a company this way. It is unacceptable, like
I,
completely unacceptable.
I agree.
Yeah,
I hope the situation improves.
I, it it better. I mean, I'm not a League of Legends guy, so in terms of games, it's not something that I really looking at. But in terms of someone who uh, is intrigued by the game development industry, just the game development industry, it's a really cool aspect to look at. And I know that there are that it is a job and it's very tough on people. But the things that they make is amazing. But it shouldn't be at the cost of it shouldn't be at the cost of people not feeling good about themselves working at the place, working the job that they wanted to for so long.
Yeah.
So
Well, we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
yeah, I just hope it gets better.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So speaking of depressing stuff, let's switch it up and talk about something hopefully a little bit less depressing, and a little bit more exciting, and hopefully a lot less controversial, which is, of course, the announcement of the new Ghost Recon Badlands. Wait, is that the right one? Badlands, right?
No, the last
Ah,
one,
dang.
the last one was Ghost Recon Wildlands,
Yeah,
and
but
this
this
one
one is called
is called Breakpoint. Ghost
oh
Recon
Breakpoint.
Breakpoint.
Wait, why did I think that? I think I made the same mistake last time we talked.
You said it yesterday as well, like, oh, is this a sequel to Badlands? Like, yeah, Wildlands. If an
Oh,
Ubisoft executive is
yeah.
listening or a Ubisoft employee, he'll be really happy that you ruined the game's name.
Well, they shouldn't call the first one Wildlands because that one was
I
weird.
believe
Plus, it was
Badlands is
taking place
something
in.
from Badlands is something from Borderlands, I believe. Is it?
No, that's just Borderlands.
No, no, no. It's an I believe it's an area in Borderlands. I
Really?
remember there's a game and it's one of those post-apocalyptic Mad Max-esque games that has a area that is called the Badlands. Maybe that's why you're referencing
Yeah,
it.
maybe. Who knows? Who
Yeah.
knows?
But anyways, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, not
Hmm.
Badlands. Did you see the unveiling?
So here's the thing. I saw it on YouTube. I saw it happening, but I didn't think that it was a new game. I thought it was an expansion for Wildlands.
Okay.
So I am completely in the. I still need to look up the trailer and like the reveal footage and what it's all about. But
Okay.
the only thing, literally the only thing that I got from it was that it is a direct sequel to Wildlands, but
Yes.
unlike Wildlands, it's not set in an actual country that has been
No.
represented poorly in the game, but it's set in a fictional country, and they can do
Yes.
whatever they want.
Yes, and that's the beauty of it. So, um,
That should not be the beauty of it.
no, but the thing is um, the game takes place on a fictional island in the Pacific Ocean called Aroa, which is a pretty big island. It has the diverse environments like the previous Ghost Recon. So
Mm,
the snowy mountains, the desert, the jungle, all that stuff is there. So there's a lot of variation in the environments. It's also bigger than the previous game, and I thought that the previous game was already big enough. Um, and what's cool about it this time is the setting is that there's this technology company which is located on that island, and
hmm
the founder of that company is kind of this tech genius, and he has a vision that he wants to make the world better. Wants to make tomorrow better through technology, and so he develops um, good technology, to put it that way, but he also develops weapons technology which enhance battles and combats and stuff like unmanned drones and um, tactical nukes and whatever. There's a pretty cool infographic trailer in which they show you what he develops. And what
Okay.
happens is that I believe from the trailer, it looks like the US government or the Pentagon loses contact with the island, and then they send you in as the ghosts to secure them and get them out or something like that. And then you get shot down, you crash land on the island, and then the game starts from there. Um, the cool part about the enemies you're facing against, because in the last Ghost Recon, it was the Unidad, as they called it, which was kind of um, a army of the public slash corrupt army, and then you also had the Santa Blanca cartel, which were these drugs dealing narcos, which were also the enemies. Now you're facing up against the wolves, which are actually a rogue unit of the Ghost Recon. So they,
Oh, okay.
yeah, they outgun you, they outnumber you, they know your tactics, they are superiorly advanced from a technology point of view, they have the latest in tech. So that's going to make it a bit more difficult compared to the dumb drug dealers you were facing in the previous game.
There's no more cocaine in this game?
Probably not. No, there's no puff puff pass this time. Yeah, so what they showed was there was a few cool new mechanics in there, such as you can camouflage yourself. So, for example, if you're crawling around in the mud, you can camouflage yourself by smearing mud over yourself so you blend in with the environment. Um, so that's something cool. And you have this,
Also called the Mighty Snake.
yeah, and you can also, for example, if you get hurt, you have your body reacts to it. So if you get shot in your arm, for example, you won't be able to aim down the sides, or if you get shot in your leg, you won't be able to sprint, and you'd have to get to cover and to patch yourself up. It looks like the mechanic from the Far Cry games. When
Hmm.
where you get shot, you, for example, put a knife in your hand and you take out the bullet and then you bandage yourself up. Um, but here it really has gameplay implications, so that looked cool. If a teammate gets shot down, you can carry him to safety and then revive him. There are multiple classes this time you can choose from. The PvP and the PvE are there from day one. So with the last Ghost Recon PvP, the sort of multiplayer got added in later. Now it's there day one. There's also going to be a raid, which is a first for Ghost Recon because it's not really a, at least it wasn't really an RPG. So it's funny to see that they're adding a raid to the game.
Hmm.
And the experience between your character is shared through all parts of the game. So if you create a character and you take the same character into PvP, into PvE, so you don't have to level again when you start on the multiplayer. So you carry everything through all the segments of the game. The game is also fully co-op playable like the previous one, so that makes it really cool.
From
Uh,
start to finish?
from start to finish, like the previous one, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yeah,
Neat.
and the cool one is the bad guy is someone we know, is an actor. His name is I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it right. Is the guy that plays the Punisher, John Bernthal? I don't know if you've seen.
Really?
Yeah, he's the bad guy.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, so what they did is they introduced his character in the last week, I believe, or the week after, before Ghost Recon Wildlands got a content update in which he was added to the game as a ghost, so he was your ally. And then
Hmm.
apparently in that DLC, you find out why he turns to the dark side and becomes the enemy in Breakpoint.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
That's some good synergy.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm really
Yeah.
curious to see. And the funny part is, it's coming out this year, October 4th. They've already given it the release date.
I'm surprised that they announced this before E3.
Yeah, they said they're going to show more at E3. They said that, for example, the multiplayer will be shown at Gamescom, and we'll see
Hmm.
more of the single player at E3. So they're
Okay.
going, yeah,
Cool.
they're going all out.
Huh. Good
Yeah,
on them.
yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. I played the last Wildlands, and um, I really liked it. It just was a bit too repetitive. So eventually, you would have to do the same mission over and over, or you could stick to one strategy and just keep repeating it in all the areas. Um, but when you played the game in co-op, which I did, it really shined. So this is one of those games you really want to play with your friends.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
I know that it didn't. I know that Wildlands didn't have the best of reputations, and I think partially it was because of the repetitive mission structure.
Hmm.
And I think the missions themselves weren't that interesting to people. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, you played it, so I'm sure you can vouch for the missions themselves, despite
Yeah,
the
the
repetitiveness.
main missions were cool, but you had these side missions, and a lot of the stuff. If you want, you could just play the main missions constantly and then finish the game. And the game also had two endings, so that was kind of cool. But
Mm.
I'm one of those. In some games, I'm the collector type of guy, so I want to collect everything in the area and then move on to the next one, as long as they don't make it too hard. So, for example, with Spider-Man, they just show you all the collectibles. So I just did all the collectibles in the areas first and then moved on. And the same was was kind of done with Wildlands, so you could see all the weapons and the attachments. So we'd just go into an area and collect the weapons and the attachments first, and then move on to the mission. But yeah, some of those side missions were really repetitive. Ah, well, let's see and hope that they fixed it for this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? I'm like, here's the thing: the Ubisoft seems to learn from their mistakes
Yeah.
most of the times, but implementing them is always kind of a gamble. Most of the times they'll do like a step and a half, and then the other half is like, wait, why is this still kind of broken?
What they
But
do is they use the same strategy for a lot of their games, which is they bring out an okay game or a good game, and then they finish it up with the post-launch content. So they make it better with the post-launch content. So, for example, with Rainbow Six Siege, when that game came out, it was terribly received. Nobody liked it, bad reviews and whatnot. And now it's already on its fourth year pass, and people keep on playing it. So they really stepped up and fixed the game in the after the launch. And it's kind of same strategy they pulled with the Division. It's the same strategy they pulled with Wildland. So the same thing with For Honor. So it's kind of a UB strategy that if it doesn't sell well or it doesn't, if it's not great at the beginning, they'll make it great at the end with post launch updates.
which begs the question what the over under is on Wildlands, because I'm kind of curious what kind of sales numbers that did. But that's
They
something we
said
can
that
look
it
up.
had around 15 million players. I don't know if it's true,
Does that
but
okay? But does that mean that they sell 50 million, more than 50 million copies of the game?
I don't know. Maybe
I mean, that's the only way you can achieve
the
that.
game came
So
out 2 years ago, so
okay, I mean, okay, that's fair.
yeah,
That's it. That's actually impressive for you.
yeah. I mean, games can do a million in a day, so yeah,
Yeah, true.
yeah. And there was another
Speaking of,
exciting stuff yesterday, and that was State of Play again.
yeah, a
Which
very short, in a very short period of time.
yeah,
I
which
think
we kind of didn't know.
because we talked about the first state of play. I think either a month or 6 weeks ago.
Wait, are you seriously saying something about that? Because I can remember Nintendo doing these things in
No, 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 no,
really,
no, no,
really
no,
short
no,
notice.
no,
So let's not
no,
go
no,
there.
no. That's not it. That is not it. I am saying that I'm surprised that they were doing something so soon after the first one, because honestly, I didn't expect them to, well, A, announce a new one before E3, and B, I didn't expect them to actually announce new stuff in this one, despite the length of it, because it was only, what, 12
10 minutes,
minutes long? 10
something like
minutes?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, maybe they'll do one at E3, but I like this one. They were like to the point.
this one was way better than the first one.
Yeah,
Mostly because they didn't bore me to tears with all the VR stuff, but also mostly because they actually kept it nice and tight.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So is
Also,
one,
like
two,
before, like,
yeah.
can we like before we start by saying that we're not going to talk about what comes at the end, because I want to keep that for the end of this conversation. But let me just say, the event started with a hint, and I thought they were going to talk about that certain hint, but they didn't until the very end, which was really cool. But yeah.
Okay, let's keep it mysterious.
I mean,
Uh,
probably there are people that know what it is, but yeah, let's keep it mysterious and fun.
yeah, sure. I have the list in front of me. They announced 6 games and a limited edition PlayStation
How
color.
many of those were actually games that we didn't know about again? I think it was about like two or three.
This one we didn't. That's one, two, four we didn't know about. Two we knew about.
Yeah. So they
Yeah,
started it off with what's it called
Monster
again?
Hunter
Monster Hunter
World
Iceborne.
Iceborne. Yeah.
Yes. The I
Ooh.
the expansion to Monster Hunter World, which is essentially what they used to do as a separate game, but now it's an expansion pack for World, which is really cool because this is literally the first time they've done anything like that. Because basically in Japan, you would get the base version of Monster Hunter, and like a year or so later, they'd release the G version of that, which is the ultimate version that used to come here in the West, but now they've completely abandoned that for this paid DLC expansion, which is coming out later this year. And they already, I think they announced it sometime late last year, I think during the Game Awards. But now we are seeing a lot more about it, and it's so cool. To me personally, as a Monster Hunter fan, the thing that I was not expecting was them to reintroduce a monster that was specifically introduced in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate from the 3DS game, the Nargacuga, which is this
the
bat.
dragon at the end?
No, it's this bat-like kind of creature.
Oh
That
yeah,
that's on all fours. That dude, there's a badass.
nice.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
badass monster.
the funny thing about Monster Hunter World is I bought it last year. It came out last year, I believe, right?
Early last year, yeah.
Yeah, so I bought it last year in January, I believe, and then I played it for like a week, I think, and
Did
then
you
I never
play
touched it.
alone?
No, I played it with a friend, but
Really?
yeah, the funny thing is we were really excited about the game. We played it for a week, and then we never touched it again.
Wow, was the friend into Monster Hunter to begin with? Because
Yeah, it was
eh,
both like we never really played the Monster Hunter game, so this was the reviews were super
ah,
positive, so we were like, okay, let's try
yeah,
this, and we
yeah.
were excited. We really liked it. It's just that I don't know, we just didn't play it after that. There's no specific reason for it. So yeah,
You
but
guys needed a sensei.
I
You
don't
guys
know.
needed a sensei. But it's kind of, it's weird to say, but it's kind of a Monster Hunter trap. But if you've never played Monster Hunter before and you dive head first into a Monster Hunter with someone who is not an experienced Monster Hunter player,
Yeah,
you'll taper off real quickly. If you have a Monster Hunter sensei in quotes, where
uh,
you where they basically play with you all the time and guide you through it and teach you the ways of the hunt,
uh,
then you'll totally appreciate it, and it's a hoot and a half to play.
if words like sensei and the hunt pop up, never mind. I'm not gonna. I don't want to bother.
You don't want to bother because you don't like fun.
Oh, I love fun and I have fun other ways, but I just can't handle a sensei because then I'll probably be a grasshopper.
No, no, you're just a hunter,
No, I
just
mean
like
for the
everybody
sensei.
else.
Anyways,
But yeah, so
it's
what
coming
was the
out this
second game
year.
that was? Yeah, it's coming out. I think on September 6th. Yeah,
Yeah,
September 6th.
yeah, it looks cool.
Um,
They're adding ice and snowy regions and whatnot. Super cool, super excited. Um, we'll have to wait and see.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'll try to look forward to it, Sensei.
So the next game on the list was a new game that we hadn't heard about yet, which kind of reminds me of 3D Dot Heroes that was on the PlayStation 3. What was this game called again?
Was it
I think it was
Riverbond?
something like, yeah, Riverbond.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
it
it's
looked
an
really
indie
cool.
game. Yeah, it's an indie. It's an indie co-op game, like a top-down isometric kind of game. A little bit Diablo-esque with the dungeon crawly aspect to it. Looks fun.
Yeah, and there are crossover
Looks
skins from other games.
yeah, yeah, from other indie characters like Shovel Knight and Guacamelee and
And
Enter the
Bastion
Gungeon and Bastion, the
and
Kid.
and
That I haven't seen
Psychonauts.
the Kid in so long. And yeah, and Rasputin from Psychonauts. Yeah, it's really, they have like really cool cameos in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
And
that's also another game that I'm actually kind of looking forward to because I haven't played a dungeon crawler in quite a while, and a co-op one at that. So it would be nice to get back into something like that.
Hmm. It also
Yeah,
got. I thought it was SOCOM when I saw it, but apparently it was Predator Hunting Grounds.
Predator. Oh
Yeah, it's
yeah,
a multiplayer game.
yeah. I don't think I like. Was this ever leaked? Because I don't think that would. No, not even like a hint or a fart in the wind
Not that I
about this
know of.
game.
No,
Yeah,
no.
neither. Yeah, I mean, I try to keep my ear to the ground in terms of stuff like this, but yeah, this completely passed me by in the rumor mills, or nobody was talking about it at all.
I can see from here that they're still pretty early in development, and the game is due out next year.
Yeah, it's a 2020 title, but it
Yeah,
is being handled by Sony Worldwide Studios in corporation with 20th Century,
I
which
don't
recently got bought by Disney.
I don't
So that's a
know.
thing.
The developer is Ilphonic.
Yeah, the develop. So, do you know the Friday the 13th the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's those developers.
Okay, but is it a PlayStation exclusive?
Well, it's made by Sony Worldwide Studios, so I'm assuming yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, because they said Sony Worldwide Studios at the beginning. So if it's
Uh,
not an exclusive, that would be really weird.
oh yeah, Sony Interactive Entertainment Presents. I missed that part.
Yeah, so it's published by Sony,
Yeah, yeah,
which
yeah.
means
Oh,
it's an exclusive.
I was
But
really
it's
hoping
done
for
by the
this to be
guys that
SOCOM.
made the Friday the 13th game, which is really awesome because that was a Kickstarter game.
I didn't play that game.
You didn't? That was free on PlayStation Plus.
I got it, but I didn't play it.
Okay, then we should play it because it is interesting. At
I'm
least
not
it'll give you
into horror games.
it it'll give you a sense of as to what Predator is gonna be like at the very least. So at least for that aspect alone, we should try and play it
I
sometime.
played the other game. What was it called?
Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, I played that one. I didn't like that one.
Yeah, but that was yeah. Um. So that was Predator,
Yeah.
and the next game that they showed off was I think Medieval,
Yeah.
which I don't know. Did you play Medieval back in the day?
No, that's why I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I didn't either, but I didn't for the same reason I'm not really looking forward to it now.
Are you scared by
Uh,
the skeleton?
no, it's just back in the mid '90s when like everybody and their brother was trying to come up with a mascot character for their video game.
Yeah.
It just felt like just another mascot character, and especially during that era when Sony was trying to find their own mascot like Mario or Sonic.
I thought Crash Bandicoot was it for the first gen.
I mean, that's what most people also associate with it, including myself. But in that period, they had a lot of games that they were trying to push as like, oh, this is the Sony mascot. You're not gonna find their games on any other system but PlayStation.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, it was Crash, it was Spyro, it was Klonoa, it was Daniel, Sir Daniel from Medieval. It was Abe. Like at a certain point, they were pushing Abe for for
Oh, I
for
remember,
for,
man.
for
That game was so
PlayStation
weird.
exclusive.
So weird.
Yeah. So I've never really had. I mean, I might try it if the price is right.
It's 30 euros.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you have to twist my arm to try it, but not my thing.
That's okay.
What was my thing was the next game in line that we didn't know about, which was Away, what was it? A simulation survival?
I
I think.
honestly don't know, and this is not one of those games that I even want to try to play. So I don't feel like flying like a raccoon or whatever. I don't have time for that.
I think it was a flying lemur. I'm not
Well,
sure if that's
I
a
don't
thing,
know.
but
I
it
saw a
looked
big
like a
ass
lemur and
spider
it
at the
flies
end.
like
I'm
a
like,
pig.
okay, I don't like spiders. I ain't gonna play this shit, man. I don't like spiders.
And then I told you about the game that this looks like, thank God I'm not the only one that said that it looked like that game. online because it looks a lot like Deadly Creatures from the Wii, which was a game in a similar vein as the Way, but you play as a tarantula and a scorpion in the desert, and you're trying to survive. And while you're trying to survive, you're following these two guys that are trying to find treasure in the desert. So it's kind of this weird kind of dual story that's happening. But it's really cool. I mean, you get to play as a tarantula and bite other insects and kill
Still not doing it for me,
water
man.
monitors and stuff like that. Why you don't like talking about spiders?
No, I don't like spiders.
Well, how about scorpions? Would you like playing as the scorpion?
I don't like insects in general.
Technically not an insect, buddy.
What's it
you
called? An
just don't.
anthropologist or something? Are you an
You
are
just
you?
don't. You just don't like creepy crawlies. That's what you're coming at, right?
Yeah. Just give me
Yeah.
a lion or tiger or a little kitty cat.
Or a flying lemur.
Right?
Or a flying lemur.
No.
I mean,
Uh,
to me, that actually looked very interesting. So I honestly, if the price is right, I would love to check out a way.
well, I think it's not. I don't think it's a good game. It's gonna charge you $60. So,
I'm assuming it's not, but you never know these days. So,
yeah. Do you want to talk
but
about the last game, or do you want to talk about that later? Because you said something about not wanting to mention it,
well, let's talk about the thing they announced before the last game.
which is this
The the
colored
state of
PlayStation.
play. The state of play. What was it called?
The Days of Play limited edition gun. No,
Gun gray,
gun
gun
gray or
gray,
something.
metal
I don't
gray,
know, man.
something like that.
It looks
And
like
like,
space gray
uh, okay, um, why?
because it's the Days of Play are coming up. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think.
I know the days of players coming up. That's the thing that they do around E3. Why do you need a special version of a PlayStation 4 to commemorate that in quotes?
I don't know. Maybe it's to push sales, kind of like what Microsoft did with the discless Xbox.
Oy vey, that is actually one that we should have talked about during the news, but oy vey,
Didn't we
yeesh.
talk about it last time?
We talked about it last time, but um, oy vey, that is not being received well.
What the discless Xbox?
Yeah,
Oh
also
wow!
known as the Xbox SAD, because that's the
Wow.
acronym for Xbox One S All Digital.
Why
Oy
is it
vey.
not being received well?
Well, other than it being called SAD and the fact that it kind of kills the whole 4K Blu-ray aspect of the S,
Like that's
and
so
it's
important.
well, some people like that. I mean, the PlayStation 4 isn't doing 4K Blu-rays, and
Not that we're missing it.
well, there are people that actually do miss it, but most importantly, it's not that cheap because you can get an Xbox One S with I think two or three games for the same price, and it has a disk drive. So why would you even bother?
Let me just check that really quick. I'm just curious. Okay, so what I can see is the S All Digital Edition retails for 229, and if I look for a Xbox One S with the disk drive, that one I can
Bundle, right?
find for I can find one for 229 with a 1 terabyte hard drive, or for 245 with a 1 terabyte and PUBG, or
Why would you want that anyways?
for 244 with a 1 terabyte hard drive and Forza Horizon 4. So why would I want to buy the discless Xbox One?
Well, maybe it's just that the European bundles suck butt.
I don't know.
But yeah, suffice to say, I don't know. That was you know what state of play. Sorry, days of play, PlayStation 4 Special Edition. Weird flex, but okay.
I'm happy that Sony got your seal of approval. My
And
name's
coming soon.
Maximilian X, and I approve of this PlayStation color.
No, I don't.
Oh
Well,
man.
coming back around to what we were hinting at the beginning, which they were hinting at the beginning, there was this very peculiar chime that they had before the event started, which I was talking about, which was a chime that you could hear in a certain game back in the day called Final Fantasy VII. And what did they end up with? With a surprise Final Fantasy VII trailer of the
Gameplay
remake,
trailer.
of course.
Yeah.
Gameplay trailer, yeah, which I was completely, I was not, I was so surprised seeing that because I did not expect that to happen at all. I just figured, well, they just brought out Kingdom Hearts 3, so it's gonna be at least another whole year at least before Tetsuya Nomura talks about that game. But surprise, surprise, they showed some new gameplay footage, and they even promised to show more at E3,
I
which
don't
is
know if did you
astounding.
did you read the rumors about that this game might be an episodic game and that it might be released over the years instead of as one full game?
Oh, oh, that is not a rumor, my dear friend. That is something that Tetsuya Nomura actually mentioned, I think, 2 or 3 years ago.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but
That sucks.
now people are saying, well, it's been so long, they don't
Mm-hmm.
expect it to be that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I honestly don't know because this footage that they showed, even though it's gameplay footage, it's still just uh, dang it, what's that city called again? Um,
Alpha?
what?
Alpha?
What?
Never mind.
I could not understand what you were saying because your mouth is full of stuff.
I'm enjoying a lion.
Oh, you mean the chocolate bar? I was talking. I was about to say, "Wow, you're full of butt."
Yeah, the candy bar.
Yeah, the candy bar. You mean? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Midgar. Thank you, Jeeves Louise. Midgar. Like all the footage that we saw was of Midgar. So that kind of weighs into the credence of that they announced that it was probably going to be episodic. I mean, it's been 3 years,
Four.
so if wow, jeez, Louise, four
Mm-hmm.
years. If Midgar is all you have to show for it, yeah, I don't think that it's gonna come out as a whole game anytime soon. So yeah, yeah.
We just have to wait and see.
But I will say this: I was impressed with what I saw. It
Wow.
was very pretty, and this is coming from someone who doesn't have nostalgia about Final Fantasy VII because it's not a game that I grew up with or played. My Final Fantasy VII of all time is Final Fantasy VI, followed by Final Fantasy IX. So there's that. But yeah, I mean, it looks really pretty. If they paid even a tenth of a percent to other stuff that they have been remaking, then at least we would have some quality products from Square Enix evenly.
Are you also choking on a lion? Because I didn't hear what you say.
I am not choking on. No,
Did you just
I
say Sword of Mana?
no, not Sword of Mana, Secret of Mana.
Oh, that one, yeah, that one. Your favorite game, Secret
Yeah,
of Mana.
yeah. Sword of Mana is completely different. Um,
Is
but
it?
yeah,
Is it?
yeah, it does. It's the first game in the line.
Oh,
Yeah, Look, you learned something
Shinyaku
new.
Seiken. Ooh.
But yeah, like that is the one thing that they've been at least consistent with between the first and the second state of play. They ended on a strong game. They ended on the first one. They ended with Mortal Kombat, and that was a killer trailer for Mortal Kombat 11. And now they ended with Final Fantasy 7, which is arguably the most anticipated game for the PlayStation 4 besides The Last of Us Part 2.
I think they'll do the
So,
next one with Last of Us.
yeah, I mean, at this point, basically they are taking the whole free form approach to state of play, which is good because that's basically how you're supposed to handle stuff like this. Um, it gives you the freedom to announce stuff when you want to announce it. It gives you control of the narrative, and it keeps you in the zeitgeist, especially considering the stuff that they announced, combining that with the stuff they announced earlier in the year. They kind of still don't have a lot, but at least you're aware of the stuff that's coming to PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
So
There's exciting stuff coming, but not this year.
most actually, huh? I mean, they announced stuff that is definitely coming out this year, but they also announced stuff that is like nowhere near this year. So I guess you're right.
Hmm.
All
Any
right.
final words?
So nope. Wow, that went on a bit longer than I actually thought. So wow. Now you really feel as if you've been gone for a while that you have like a lot of stuff that you just need to get off your chest.
Oh man,
So
I
yeah, I
almost
mean,
consider these sessions as a therapy session.
they do have a relaxing effect, so that's nice. And hopefully people are enjoying it as we are talking about these big news articles and titles and stuff like that. So we enjoy bringing it to you guys. So let's close off this first segment. We'll take a quick break and come back with what we've been playing. And welcome back to what we've been playing. So, SeanTemplar, it's been a while, so I'm assuming you had a bunch of stuff to play. What have you been playing?
I think I'm gonna shock a lot of people by how little I have been playing recently. Um,
But
I don't know if it's because I don't know if it's because we're getting older or not, but I sometimes have these moments that I enjoy following the news around gaming more than actually playing the games more. So that might explain why I don't play as much as I used to. And I like single player games more and more often. So maybe because there's not a lot of that around that I'm just not playing as much as I used to.
that's kind of been my medium throughout my whole gaming experience. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know that like in the past I could just sink hours and hours into games, and these days it's I don't know I can't do that anymore. When a really really good game comes out like God of War or Red Dead Redemption or I don't know, an Assassin's Creed games I can maybe do it, but besides like AAA blockbusters, it's really hard to constantly grab a controller and say, okay, I'm gonna play a game now. Wow, tend to look more for bite-sized content, and that's what you've been playing has been based around these few weeks. I've been playing a
Hmm.
lot of Formula One 2018. I'm really starting to love that game. I started out. You have a career mode in the game, so I started out as a driver for Renault, and the cool part is I'm actually seeing myself grow in the game. So we're in the first few races, I would barely hit the goals that my team is asking of me. And then towards the middle part of the game, I started to notice that I'm actually exceeding those goals. Eventually, I got to the part where I had to negotiate my contract, and then I thought, well, I could either stay at this team or let me just try to see what I can pull off. So I went to talk to Mercedes, which have been winning the championships the last 4 years. So yeah, I thought like, okay, let me try if I can get a contract with them. So I said, okay, this is my demands and this is what I want. And then they said, no, man, you want too much. So I thought, okay, let me just adjust my demands, see if I could get it locked in. And then I adjusted my demands, and they all of a sudden said like, hey, we want you, and you can be our first driver. And I was kind of shocked by it, and I actually didn't want to leave Renault. So I was like, oh no, I don't want to leave, I don't want to leave. And then I kind of got tied up in it, and I'm now the first driver of Mercedes. I've won a couple of races. I'm the first in a championship. Um,
Okay, nice.
it's really fun. Um, you can notice a difference in developments of the car as well. In when I was at Renault, I would struggle with certain tracks, or I would struggle with certain elements, and then I noticed that the Mercedes car is so much more developed through, so I can do a lot more at high speeds. I've nailed down my pit window, so I can box my car really quickly and then still make it out as first instead of ending up as last.
Mm.
Yeah, if you're not a Formula One fan, it's like I'm talking mumbo jumbo to you. But for the people that know that I play or that listen to this and love Formula One or follow it, they might understand what I'm saying. And I've also been playing Motorsport Manager on the PC. At first, when I started up the game, it was so overwhelming that I immediately quit, and I said, okay, I need a day because I can't do this right now. Uh, so I finally picked it up, and Motorsport Manager is a car manager game. So you can pick different kinds of cars, and then you can go into a league and manage a team. I chose Formula One, duh.
Yeah,
Um,
obviously.
and the fun part is it has Team Workshop built in, so you're not restricted to the leagues and the cars and the players that the developers put in, but you can download if somebody has a mod. For example, there's a mod for the latest Formula One championship, so you can download those cars, you can download those drivers, you can have real world sponsors. I had IKEA and Samsung, for example, as a sponsor of my car.
Is
And
there is there a stat parity on that?
come again?
Is the mods, do they have stat parity like how if you're playing FIFA or if you're playing NBA that they update the stats of the teams that is accurate to the real life.
The developer doesn't do it, so you'd have to download it through mods. But yeah,
But the mods do that then.
yeah, partially, yeah,
Oh, that's actually pretty cool.
yeah. And um, here it's really about managing the team and having a long-term vision. So you have to make sure that your pit crew is up to speed and that they're not fatigued, or they might mess up your pits. Or you have to make sure that you're developing parts for the car. You have to make sure that your drivers are performing. You get reports saying, "Hey, you have a driver, blah blah blah. He's really good, so we might consider investing in him." The other driver we're having, well, he's at his peak, so you might not want to invest as much time in him as your other driver. So you get a lot of advice. Um, you can also see like when you're doing the race, you can see like your own small 3D little car driving over the track, which is really cool to see.
Mm.
Um, it's really cool. I really love it. I've put some hours into it, and it's really fun. It pushes you to think from a different point of view, because when you're playing Formula One 2018, you're behind the wheel. You can make the decisions on how to take the corners and what to do. And here you're kind of the long term vision person behind the team, and you have to make all those difficult decisions where I'm going to put my money in, who I'm going to hire, who I'm going to fire, stuff like that. So that's really cool.
Sean
And
Templar, F1 manager.
yeah, hello, my name is Sean Templar. I'm the team principal of BMW Racing. That's how my team is called.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it for me.
So I'm assuming since it's a management game, your team is racing in seasons. Like, how many seasons are you already into the game?
I'm still in the first season.
The first.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know
All
if
right.
there's a limit, but I think you can. Go as much as you want. There's also some depth in if you want to start low. So, for example, with Formula One, if you choose that as a car to be a manager of, you can say I want to start in Formula Three and then go to Formula Two and then go to Formula One. So you can actually work your way up if you want to. So there's also some depth there instead of just starting in the top tier level.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah,
That's cool. Yeah. Nice.
yeah. What have you been
So,
playing? I know you've been excited about some Labo stuff.
yeah, I've been continuing to play more of the Labo. The updates for Mario Odyssey and Zelda Breath of the Wild came out a week after the Labo launch. So I downloaded both of them and I tried them both out. Um, the Mario Odyssey content was specifically made for VR, so they made some new levels built out of the assets from Mario Odyssey, and I mean they're not that complicated, but they are nice. You can pan with the VR headset and look around you. I recommend using a swivel chair so that you can just swivel around without getting dizzy. And you control Mario, and you have to do some certain missions in these vignettes, as it were. And when you complete it, you unlock stuff, and at the last part, you unlock a live concert in game, of course, where you can pan around, look at all the characters from the game, and control Mario and make him dance. And it's fun. It's nice. I mean, as far as a VR experience is concerned, it's not necessarily going to blow you away. I mean, it's not PlayStation VR uh, or Oculus or HTC Vive, obviously, not with that resolution. But for what it is fun and entertaining, which is not what I can say about Breath of the Wild's VR experience because that one was not made for VR.
I'm kind of
They,
surprised that you're so honest and open about Breath of the Wild.
hey, I'm always honest and open about everything. It's just that our opinions
Mm,
differ.
Nintendo fanboy. No, no, no. Just tell me how it is.
um, so you've tried VR, right?
I've played with the Oculus Rift.
Yeah. So, you know how head tracking works, right?
Yeah.
Basically, when you turn your head, you can look around in the environment. All right, and it's free, so you don't have to worry about anything. For whatever reason, they retrofitted the VR experience to Breath of the Wild, and they made Link the anchor. So if you have motion tracking on in Breath of the Wild for the first time when you're doing VR and you move your head, you're not moving the camera freely, you're moving the camera around Link.
What?
Yeah, which obviously
Why?
then induces motion sickness. With me, it just gave me a splitting headache, but I've heard from other people online and seen from other people online um, that they felt actual motion sickness and close to um, uh, producing their lunch, to say it in
Goodness.
a neat way. Um, So, yeah, the advice also online is if you're gonna try the VR experience with Breath of the Wild, since you can play the whole game in VR, turn off motion controls before you start playing, and you should be fine because then you're just controlling the camera with the right analog stick, and yeah, you should be fine with that. Although I'm not sure if you want to play that the whole way through,
But what's
because
the added
again,
benefit then? If you turn that off and you use the right stick to move the camera, then what
the
use does VR have?
the 3D depth, but even then, that's not great because the resolution is kind of poor. And you're missing some very vital HUD information. You don't have your mini map anymore, and you can barely see your health.
Okay.
Like, you really have to look up in the corner of your eye, like in the upper left corner, to see, oh, that's how much health I have left.
Yeah, because yeah, I wouldn't know why they would add VR to this game if they're doing it the way they that you're telling me right now.
I think they just experimented with it and thought it was good enough for just a free thing because it is free. You don't have to pay for it, and it's not a mandatory way of playing. If you want to play it that way, you can, but you don't have to. So I think it was just kind of a little something that to them worked okay enough to give people kind of a little taste of what VR open world can be, where you move freely at least. Because most games, most VR experiences, you're not really moving around freely. And in Breath of the Wild, you kind of can, but the resolution is also kind of low. So why would you do it that way? It's not the best way to experience Breath of the Wild. I will say that though.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah. On the other side, I also bought the expansion pack, one of the expansion packs for Labo. As I stated in our last episode, I bought the starter kit, which just comes with the VR goggles and the blaster. So a couple of weeks ago, I bought the VR kit expansion pack number one, which comes with the camera and the elephant kit, which are both really cool kits. The camera kit is exactly what it sounds like. It is a camera labo set where you look into a virtual sea or a virtual house with a virtual pet in it, but that one is not that interesting in my opinion. The sea one is way more fun because you get to do some underwater photography with it. Um, and the more pictures you take of new fish, the more different fish and sea mammals come about. I've still yet to see any dolphins though, but I have taken a picture of a shark
Ooh,
and the Loch Ness monster and
what?
aliens. Yeah, it's Nintendo. Don't overthink it. But
Okay.
yeah, it is a fun experience with the camera. Um, but obviously, the first thing that people are thinking about is where is Pokemon Snap 2? Nintendo, you have to have it made. And honestly, yeah, they totally should do that. If they don't do it, it's a missed opportunity, and they only have their self to blame.
Okay.
Because I would love to do this in VR. Because the way Pokemon Snap works, you're on rails and you're looking around. So this totally works on VR. Like why nobody's brought it up yet with Nintendo, I have no idea. But yeah, hopefully someone is getting the message there and like calling HAL Laboratories and having that stuff made. So, but the other thing was the Elephant Kit, which is a really interesting one because the Elephant Kit is two things. It has two experiences. One is a marble game where you have to solve the puzzle by moving pieces around so that sorry, not marble can go through certain amounts of rings to complete the puzzle. Which is really cool because it used the HD rumble feature within the Joy Cons, so you can actually feel the marble rolling over the surface that you're grabbing and holding on to. It's a really weird sensation because you're like, oh my god, it actually feels like there's a marble rolling over like this flat surface that I'm holding. It's so crazy. And you have other materials in there. You have this uh, glass tube that it can roll through, and it feels like it's rolling through a glass tube. Oh man, it's weird. I just get goosebumps just thinking about it. Um,
Uh,
but the but the other thing that you can do with it is make 3D drawings um, with the Elephant Joy-Con and it Toy-Con, and it is a really fun experience. It's very accurate. Um, and it's a very cool way of doing 3D tracking without technically having the capability built in. What they do is the front of the elephant Toy-Con has these IR markers on it, which it uses as positioning in combination with the gyro and the accelerometer and the IR camera that's built into the right Joy-Con. So when you bring it in, you're bringing it closer to the markers, so it knows that it's closer to the markers, and you see it coming close to your face, the pen or whatever tool you're holding. And when you move out, it goes in, and it's just so amazing. It's ridiculous that it actually works. Those are the fun aspects of the Labo VR. Uh, and yeah, I've been making some art in Labo. Big shock. I suck at drawing in 3D, but yeah, I mean, if they can do it, why can't I? So I've been doing that, and I've been enjoying that a lot. So
That was good to hear.
yeah, yeah. And of course, the other thing that I've been playing, of course, is Horizon Zero Dawn. I've been trudging along methodically. I think I'm about 75% done. I'm at this point where they're talking about like a big no point of no return kind of thing. So I'm just doing a couple of more side missions to build up my arsenal and get a few more skills in before I dive in
I
to
think
this
you're at the end
dungeon.
almost. Yeah.
Yeah, it's at what is it called again? Sun something like Sunville or Sunstone or something like that.
It's been so
So
long
yeah.
since I played those games, so I honestly don't know anymore.
Yeah, so it's at that point. If you guys know, if you've played Horizon Zero Dawn, you know what I'm talking about. So it's been going well. I mean, I'm 70 hours in now, so yeah, I've been plodding around methodically and enjoying the game.
Nice.
Dying, trying again, dying, trying again. Yeah, circle of life.
That's kind of how the game works.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I really want to finish this game because I'm kind of curious to see what the whole end is. Because at this point, the whole story is just like, okay, so uh, like what the hell happened to the world, and how did we get here?
I thought it was a
It's
really
just
satisfying story.
I'm intrigued. I mean, I want to see how it ends. How Eli became a mountain baby. So yeah, how do you become a mountain baby?
Yeah,
That's the big mysteries of life. Mountain babies.
I think they really
All
nailed the
right.
part about her being an outcast.
Yeah, they totally did. Yeah. That is something. And they did that really well because when you're out in the world, if you run into to other Noras, Noras that know of your story will know. Oh, you're that outcast. What are you doing here? Why did they make you a seeker? Yeah. So yeah, yeah, they did really handle that really well, and the way your stories are building up, and you hear people talking about you when you walk past them. Oh, she took down that big metal demon, blah blah blah. Ah, it was her, the one who can control the metal creatures and mounts them and takes them down and blah blah blah. And you're like, yeah,
A lot of blah blah
yeah,
blah.
I'm a badass. Yes, you best recognize. Yeah,
Oh,
but yeah, she's a badass, and even the people that try to take advantage of her when she kicks their ass, they're like, oh no, I peed my pants.
You should become a
I
voice actor for the game.
I literally just finished a side quest with a dude just being all afraid and like, open up, let me. Oh, hey, it's you. Uh, uh. Before you say anything, you can take my finger, or better yet, take my hand, or better yet, chop off my whole arm. That's my final offer.
Oh
Like,
wow.
really? Wow, you're pathetic. Okay.
You instill fear where you go.
Exactly. That is the Aloy way, the mountain baby way.
Instead of it is the Jedi way.
Exactly.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's it for what we've been playing. So stick around and we'll come back with our final segment, which is the hidden gems.
Yay! Alrighty, welcome back to our final segment, the hidden gem. I think I'll kick this one off because I'm really, yeah, it's a quick one. I'm going to talk about my hidden gem, which is Dynasty Warriors. Um, Dynasty Warriors has how should I put it?
A
A
long
mixed,
history.
a long history and a mixed reputation. If you're a fan of the franchise, you will love every game. If you're not a fan of the franchise, or if you've never played it and you're not really into this kind of game, you will never love it. Um,
True.
Really dumbed down, it is a mindless button bashing hack and slash game, and I really like that. It's just what I said, mindless button bashing, and I kind of like it. The game is set during the Romance of the Three Kingdoms era in China, which is an era in Chinese history in which there were multiple great kingdoms, which were all fighting for the control of the country and becoming the emperor or the leading faction in the country. You have factions which are called Wu, Wei, and Shu, and you can pick different characters from those factions, and the character you pick basically is a hero slash a general in that faction, and they all have their own backstory and their own um, quests kind of that they take on in the story. Um, every game has, because it's set in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms era, every game has the same battle. So it always starts out with the Yellow Turban Rebellion, as it is called, and then generally you move on to the Battle of the Hulao Gate. So all the battles are always the same. It's just that with each progressing game, they add new mechanics and they improve the environment and stuff like that. And so basically, what you do is you start a mission or a battle, and then your objective is to kill the ultimate bad guy in that level. But you can take your time and you can kill all the other enemy generals if you want. You can push with your armies because there's a lot of soldiers around you that will fight with you. Um, it's not really the most technically high tech game there is. It's kind of simple in a way that what does it, but it does it in my opinion, it does it well if you're a fan of the franchise.
Well, it's also with a purpose that they do that because they want to present the player with as many enemies to slaughter as possible.
Yeah, and there are battles in which I've had instances in which I've killed 1,000 soldiers um, in those battles, which is really cool if you really get that. Then all the generals start to give you compliments, and they like, "Oh wow, you're a true hero of the Three Kingdoms," and they're like, "Hell yeah, I'm a true hero of the Three Kingdoms. I killed 1,000 people." Other people will
What
call
have
me a
you been
massive,
doing today?
yeah. Other people will call me a mass murderer, but I'll take hero anytime. Um, yeah, so specifically, I picked up Dynasty Warriors 9 a couple of weeks ago. And the fun part about Dynasty Warriors 9 is that it kind of changes the formula up a bit. It introduces an open world, which wasn't present in the previous game. So you can go wherever you want to be. There's dynamic weather. You can have
Okay.
bodyguards with you. You can level up your character. It's going towards a bit of an open world RPG-esque game, and I really like it. Graphics wise, they've stepped up, so it looks better. There's more mechanics in it. This time you can swim, you can climb, you can shoot with a bow, you can change your weapons because normally the hero or the general you choose is specialized in a type of weapon and it has a custom weapon made for him. For example, the leader of the Shu faction, which is called Liu Bei, has in one of the earlier games he had this beautiful broadsword, but for example in Dynasty Warriors 9 he has two swords, and then you have different styles of swords you can use, but you can also equip spears or whatnot. So there's also variation in there, in that your character is not specifically bound to his weapon class. Um, yeah, the tricky part is I like this game. This game is a hidden gem for me because after a long day, if I just want to play something simple, I can just sit down and button bash my way through. And if you're really into these movies like, I don't know, Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit or I don't know, Kingdom of Heaven or Gladiator, where you see that hero on screen that slaughters hundreds of people and is the savior of the day. If you kind of like those movies and you kind of want to have a feeling like that, then Dynasty Warriors is a perfect game in which you can have that feeling. You are the person that makes the impact. So based on where you go with your soldiers and who you attack, you are the one that's making the difference, kind of like in those movies. And that's what I love about those games.
Yeah, that is cool. And for those that maybe don't find the Romance of the Three Kingdoms an appealing aspect, they do have a bunch of spin-offs. One of the first ones they did, I think, was the Gundam one.
Yeah, that's also, yeah, there was also a Gundam one.
What was that one called again? I think it was called Gundam.
I know it was on the
not
PS3
Versus.
era.
Yeah, it was a PS3 game. I think it was called Gundam. I know, like unofficially, it's called Gundam Muso.
It's called
because
Dynasty Warriors Gundam, and then there
right, yeah.
was the first one came out in 2007, the second one came out in 2008, the third one came out in 2010, and there was one in 2013 which was called Dynasty Warriors Gundam Reborn. Oh, I didn't know it was so many. I only thought they did the two, but there's also a 3 and a Reborn.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, the developer behind is Omega Force, and yeah, the Warriors franchise, to put it that way, is their kind of game. So they also do a game called Samurai Warriors, which is set in Japan, but it's the same kind of game. They do Warriors Oroichi.
Not to be confused with Sengoku Basara, because that's the Capcom game.
Yeah, this one, the Japanese name for this one is Sengoku Muso, I believe. Yeah. They also do Warriors Oroichi, which is a kind of monsters. It also has kind of monsters and demons in it. I know that they tried something else by doing a game set in the Trojan War era on PS3.
Oh.
I haven't played that one. I kind of do want to play that one still. Yeah, and they did Fire Emblem Warriors, which came out 2 years ago. They did Hyrule Warriors, which came out a couple of years ago.
Yep.
I think the Hyrule Warriors was really well received.
Yeah, Hyrule Warriors was really well received. At least better than Fire Emblem Warriors, but that's because the roster in Fire Emblem Warriors was also way smaller than Hyrule Warriors. Because by the time that all the DLC came out, the roster was huge, which is ironic because it started off with a small roster.
Yeah,
comparatively, yeah.
Yeah, I believe they also did something in the Dragon Quest franchise.
Yeah,
Dragon Quest Heroes
1 and 2.
Yeah. So that's the cool part, that they kind of have the other franchises they work on. They did the Attack on Titan games for the consoles.
Yep, which they're I played the demo of the second game. It's not that bad. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
the swinging mechanic is really sweet.
Yeah,
and they're also working on the Persona 5 one.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that was kind of surprising.
That was really depressing.
Persona 5 Scramble the Phantom Strikers.
We were promised a Persona 5 game for Switch, and it's this.
No, but there is a Persona 5 game coming to Switch, right?
Yeah, that's this.
No. I mean, there's another Persona game coming to Switch. I thought I read it somewhere.
No, that's this.
Nani?
Yeah. Persona 5 The Royal is a PlayStation 4 exclusive. Persona 5 Scramble, the Phantom Strikers, that's this. And it's Switch and PS4.
Yeah. You should be happy that this game is coming to... you should be happy that the Persona game is coming to Switch. Nobody cares about Switch. You should be happy.
But it's a Muso game. It's a
That makes it
Dynasty
even more
Warriors
fun.
game.
That makes it even more fun.
We were promised the full-fledged RPG.
Ah, too bad for you. You get a Muso game.
I have enough Musa games, thank you very much.
At least you have Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Uh, Anyways, that's my hidden gem. So if you like these kind of games, this game is perfect for you. I bought it for 20 euros, so it's not a super big investment. If you're not in these kind of games, then find something else to play.
Yeah. Try Sengoku Basara, which is equally awesome but more fanciful and set in Japan. I actually
Yeah.
played that one on the PlayStation 3 with my cousin. That was really awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I still
Good
want to
co-op.
try the Hyrule Warriors. I'm kind of curious for that one. Do you have it on Switch?
Yeah, I have it on Wii U, so we can always try it whenever.
Hmm. Wii U. Yeah, we'll have to
Don't
try it.
Yeah. So speaking of China and growing larger, my
China
hidden
will
gem
grow
is on
larger.
my hidden gem is about something that we touched upon a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago now actually, which was Command and Conquer Generals, a RTS game which seemingly doesn't seem to exist anymore these days and age, but a really good one. It's a spin-off of the Command and Conquer series. Um, it was not my first RTS that I played. My first RTS that I ever played was a little game called Total Annihilation. I don't know if you've heard about that one,
Yeah.
but I got it free with the PC that we bought back in the day in the late 90s. If you remember the brand Packard Bell, yeah,
They would call it Packard Hell, I believe.
yeah, that was its nickname. But it came with Total Annihilation, and I was very grateful for that. Because every other
Yay.
game that came with it was either for kids or it sucked, or both. So yeah, but that's my first foray into the RTS franchise, and I really sank my teeth into Command and Conquer Generals when my cousin introduced it to me. He's like, "Hey, we're playing this game on PC, and you finally have a broadband internet connection, so we can actually play against each other. Here, have the game. I have the game. Let's play it together and have
We
some
all have
fun."
the game.
So yeah, that was my first introduction. That was my proper introduction to the Command and Conquer franchise, and I have to say I loved it a lot. I played a ton of the single player. Played a ton of the multiplayer with my cousin against the PC, my cousin against other people. It was just a whole bunch of fun.
Oh, I love that game.
Yeah. I mean, you can play as different factions through the single player or in the multiplayer. You can play as a surrogate for the US, which technically it is the US, but they're called something slightly different. And then you have the terrorist faction. You have China. You have Russia.
No, I believe you
Um,
only had three factions.
was it three? I thought you had four.
Um, let's see. You had the GNA, which was the terrorist faction. You had the
Yeah.
Americans, and you had the Chinese.
Oh, really? Why did I have
Yeah,
it? I think there was a fourth faction.
maybe a Red Alert too.
Yeah, true. But yeah, it was really awesome. It had these really fun quips from every faction. I mean, they were super stereotypical, but I I'm not sure if they would fly in 2019, but they were just so hilarious and just so on point. And as Sean just exampled, just one sample, where if you're building for with the Chinese faction, the builder says stuff like, "China will grow larger," and
Uh,
and yes, General. And then you have specialized units. For example, China has the hacker, which is a female spy who can who's invisible as long as she's not doing anything, who can infiltrate, she can hack military bases, she can hijack facilities uh, for you to use. And then you have the Americans that are more about the firepower, so they have the stealth bombers. Uh, and then you have the GLA, which are the terrorists, which mm, borderline racist, but also like not really. Um, they do wear turbans, some of them, like the suicide bomber, which is one of their special guys. Yeah, it's that kind of terrorist. Um, but yeah, I mean, they all have their own specialties in building units and building facilities. But it's all kind of evil leveled out, so it's a level playing field. So even if you don't have a spy, you have your own kind of special tactics guy. And I think the U.S. had basically their version of Rambo, who just charges in and is overpowered and has a lot of firepower for this one guy who just runs into runs into the enemy base and just shoots it up.
Oh man, I miss those kind of games.
Oh man, it's such a good game, and it actually got a sequel called Command and Conquer Generals Zero Hour.
Yeah, it was an
Yeah,
expansion pack.
0 hour. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was fun. It added more stuff. It added more maps. It added more missions to the single player. No, that was a completely new single player campaign, actually. In fact, for that one.
Yeah, I believe they also added aircraft carriers and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. You had sea warfare, which you didn't have in the base game. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Too bad it doesn't exist anymore. Thank you, EA. But yeah, who knows? Maybe someday we'll do something with Command and Conquer Generals, and you guys get to see it. So
Well, I don't know if you read it, but EA has announced that they're working on a remake of Command and Conquer and Command and Conquer Red Alert. They've partnered with Petroglyph, which is a studio made up of former veterans from Westwood Games, which was the original developer of the Command and Conquer franchise, and some of the old developers of Westwood and Petroglyph are working together to remake those games. So hopefully
like
later this
remake them, or remake them into a mobile game.
remake is in a PC game.
Oh, that is actually nice.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's going to come out this year or next year, but that would be really cool. I mean, a remake of Red Alert, I cannot wait to be honest.
I hope they show something off at EA Play this year.
That would be really, really cool.
Yes, it would.
Oh my God, I can't
All right.
wait. Yeah, man.
Yeah, E3 is around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. It is only a good 4 weeks. Oh my goodness, it's a good 4 weeks away.
Yeah,
Yeah, we need to. You're prepared, right? Because I'm prepared, man.
I'm
I got
ready
my
to go.
snacks. I got my popcorn. I got my sodies,
I took
and
time off from work.
same here. So
Yep. We're gonna do a
um,
special Game Rivals thingy.
yes, we're gonna do some special Game Rivals episodes for E3 week. So look forward to that. Other than that, do you have anything else that you wanna say to the audience before we sign off?
I'm all good. I just can't wait for you to do your ad underscore wada wada exclamation point stuff again. So why don't you just take us out?
All right. So thank you guys for listening to another Game Rivals episode. As always, you can find us at on any podcasting app. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on uh, Google Podcasts. You can find us on Anchor, of course. You can find us on Overcast. Spotify, and whatever podcasting app that you use to listen to podcasts. You can find us on the social medias on Twitter at game_rivals_. You can find me at Maximilian. Um, you can also email us at gamerivalsfeedback@gmail.com. So that's it for this week. Thank you guys for listening. Please continue to spread the word of Game Rivals. We hope to make more Game Rivals out of you, and we hope to meet more Game Rivals on the internet. So this is Mike Maximilian X
And this is SeanTemplar.
signing off and wishing you guys a good one.
Bye.